The antithesis of faith is fear and anxiety. If you're feeling fear and anxiety, then your faith is not in check. So you got to go back there and you got to say, why? What is missing? What am I not handing over? What am I not laying down? And once you lay it all down, then the anxiety and the fear, it has to leave.
Hey guys, it's Nancy and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real and let's laugh. Hey guys, welcome back to the She Laughs podcast. And I am super excited about our guest today, Dr. Tiff. She's amazing, guys. And I love what she's done. And I know you will too, because she's on a quest to empower women. And it's just the coolest thing. So before I give her the floor, I'm going to read to you a little bit about Dr. Tiff. And then we will hear more about what she's doing. It's so awesome. Okay. Dr. Tiff is an industry-leading expert in nutrition and peak performance. She helps high achievers optimize their performance with nutrition and mindset changes. She holds a PhD in health and human performance, an MS in sports psychology, and a BA in psychology from the University of Richmond. She is a certified NSCA strength and conditioning specialist, NASM fitness nutrition specialist, and an intuitive eating counselor. Wow. Her unique blend of expertise empowers clients to optimize their health, enhance performance, and cultivate a resilient mindset. Dr. Tiff is the acclaimed author of 2 groundbreaking books, The Metabolic Makeover and Limitless. And she's currently working on a 3rd for preteen girls about faith, fuel, and finding their superpowers. Her expertise has drawn an elite clientele, including NFL, NHL, and PGA athletes, Division I competitors, Fortune 500 executives, and acclaimed artists of stage and screen. That's so cool. She is also a sought-after speaker and adjunct instructor of exercise science at Belmont University in Nashville. Current and former audiences include organizations such as LBMC, KPMG, Bass, Berry & Sims PLC, Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, Elite Sports Medicine, Belmont University, Georgia Southern University, Trevecca, and Middle Tennessee State University. Wow. Welcome, Dr. Tiff.
Wow, it's like overwhelming to hear that, but very humbling. Thank you so much.
We're so glad you're here. And as you know, this podcast is really built around women stepping out of the fear of the I'm not good enough, I'm not perfect, and squishing that horrible critical voice inside and using the gifts that God has given them to empower them and to bless others and live their best life. And I feel like what you're doing is so helpful for women who may be stuck in that I have to be perfect, or I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not old enough, whatever the enough is. And I want to hear about your book because it sounds the new one you're working on. I can't wait to dig into that. But before we do, I'd love for the listeners to hear a little bit about you and your story of, you know, how you got to be where you are today, to do all that you've done and all that you've had to overcome, because I think it's good for everybody to know that they can do it too. Right?
Well, yeah. And I think, for the first 30 plus years of my life, it was a highlight reel. I say that a lot. It was like grad school and athletic honors and private school education. And my parents were very supportive. They're still married after 50 years. I didn't have any childhood drama or trauma. And I was checking all the boxes. I met my soon-to-be husband and we got married and we owned a business, and the climb was happening, and I got really high on that mountain, but I just looked down and I realized that my faulty foundation was not holding up to everything I was piling on top of it. And I came crashing down. I was burned Yeah, I was burnt out. I was not taking care of my body. I was suffering with a very extreme eating disorder at the time because it had just become so much stress, and I was using exercise and I was using controlling my food intake. I was trying to control all the things, and I started having chronic pain, and I had back surgery and hip surgery, and I got a divorce, like all of this in this 4-year period of time between 2018 and 2021. And so I just looked around and I thought, I had all that, but I was miserable. And I just realized that the stuff is not where it is. The stuff is not happiness. It's not joy. And I had to start rebuilding my foundation. And that's where I came back to my faith. My ex-husband was not a Christian. And so for 10 years, we didn't go to church. We didn't have that in our lives. And I lost my footing. I say all the time now to my clients is like the first thing you got to do is find your footing. Because for me, it was getting back to my faith to establish that he is my rock, right? Like we start climbing, but if he's not at the center of that climb,
Yeah. It's a mess. I know.
it is. And to your point about fear, right? The antithesis of faith is fear and anxiety.
Yep.
If you're feeling fear and anxiety, then your faith is not in check.
Absolutely.
So you got to go back there and you got to say, why? What is missing? What am I not handing over? What am I not laying down? And once you lay it all down, then the anxiety and the fear, it has to leave, right? Because you
lay it all down. For those, yes, I have all this. How do I lay it all, quote, lay it all?
Well, for me, I realized that God was my spare tire. It was like every time something went wrong or I lost my way or I felt overwhelmed or I was like, now let me go to him instead of it just being an everyday practice. Like for me, it's the music I listen to, the information I consume, the types of people I surround myself with. I mean, it's not easy, but I think you've got to make everything you do oriented around that mission to just let him take it from you.
Yes. Love that. Yes.
So that for me was number one because I always said, oh, I'm a Christian. I believe in something bigger than myself. There's a bigger purpose, but I wasn't doing that in my day to day, right? It was a second priority. And then the other thing I would say my priority was my health, that I wanted to be strong and resilient, but then I was starving myself and overtraining and not taking care of my body. If anything, I was abusing it.
Yeah,
at the time. And so fuel, when you talk about, if you've ever been around a rock climber, right? Their principle is 3 points of contact.
Okay.
Always, right? Either 2 hands and a foot, 2 feet and a hand, right? 3 points of contact on that mountain you're climbing.
Okay.
And for me, it was faith, it was fuel, and it was focus. So we talked faith, right? But the nutrition piece is the other one that I had really started to realize. If you're going to be chasing big dreams, if you're going to be climbing big mountains, you better be fueling your body.
Yes. And
right?
So many of us we may not be starving ourselves, but we aren't eating healthy because
optimally.
It's this perfect image, thanks to, in large part, to social media and, magazines, commercials, all of this, what we should look like. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, oh my gosh, I don't look like that. So I can't eat that. And I have to run this far or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And we do starve our bodies instead of feed them.
And it may, and I use that term very loosely, but it may just be not optimizing sleep and stress and the types of things that you're spending your time with. Like those feed us too, right? They're everything we consume feeds our soul, feeds our body, feeds our mind. And so when we look at that quote unquote diet, it's not just food, although that's primary, but it's just thinking about all the things you're putting into your body and into your mind, and what is the quality. The quality of what you put in becomes the quality of the output.
Okay.
Right. Just like the gas you put in your car, right? You could go into a gas station, you got choices, regular, premium, super, what's the quality that you're going to put in the tank? That's what the quality that the engine is going to run on.
Okay. Well, how did you, I see how you could reintroduce faith into your life. You started reading the Bible again, probably found a church, reading devotionals, praying, getting connected. And, sort of like when you leave, I don't know, a relationship or a town, a city, let's say that, go off to college and come back and you're like, oh, they just put this up here. But you know the roads and you know where you have
Sure.
to go because it's home. And so that was familiar to you. And so you started feeding your soul again. But then as far as the fuel, how did you suddenly go from, unhealthy
Mm.
to healthy again? What did you do? For those people listening, that's going, I'm doing that. I'm so stressed out. I'm burned out. I'm not sleeping. I'm eating on the road or whatever, or not eating or making 3 dinners and none of them are really for me. One
That's
can
right.
say, I mean,
The short order cook process and the nighttime. Yeah, that's right. Well, I had to surround myself with a team of support. I had to find some mentors. I had to find some coaches. I had to find some people because at that point I wasn't able to do it myself. I wasn't holding myself accountable. I wasn't giving myself the tools and resources that I needed at that time because I was so overstretched. Like you said, you're doing this, you're doing that. Sometimes you just don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
And at that point, you might need to engage someone, just like if you need a therapist or you need a business coach or you need, right? We have all these people in our lives, your life team, and sometimes you need that for your health, whether it's a personal trainer or nutrition support or whatever the case may be, to just get you over that hump and to help you find some tools and strategies. And I had to do that for myself, even though I knew all the information. Sometimes we can't always be our own coach. And I think that was part of me being stubborn for a long time. Like, I can figure this out. I can work through this. I can do it myself. And I realized at some point I just wasn't doing it for myself.
Yeah.
And I think I just repositioned like the way that I was looking at, I was chasing the numbers. I was chasing the scale. I was chasing the next best. I was chasing bigger, stronger, better. And it was just driving me further and further. The more control I tried to take, the less control I had. That was the reality. And I think sometimes the more we control, right? Yeah, the less control we really have.
Yeah. And we all go through that, whether it's our careers or with our kids or in our relationships. I believe that the more control we try to have, the more we lose, right? I mean, we lose control and the value of whatever it is becomes,
That's right.
it's not any good. Okay. And then the last one is focus. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, for me, that was just prioritizing and setting intentions and having a really clear vision. Again, I think I looked at, okay, if I were to list my core values or my priorities, I would say family, I would say faith, I would say health, I would say, community. And yet I wasn't taking care of my health. My faith was bottom of the rung of the ladder, so I had such a misalignment. I think for me, the focus is making sure that your priorities and your actions are aligned.
Okay. So if someone comes to you and says, here are my priorities, and a lot of them, I'm sure, are what you just listed for people, faith, family, career, relationship, finances, health. How do you align that with their day to day, or how do you get them to prioritize, right? Like, so what would you do if I came to
different strategies? I mean, I think for some people, it's just an awareness. So I think just saying that out loud and looking at it and being like, and then you actually know where the misalignment is. I think sometimes we're just so in the grind and in our day to day and our behaviors. It's not that we're doing it intentionally. I don't think anybody would intentionally not make their family a priority or try to sabotage their health but I think sometimes when we sit down and we look at those and we say, oh, okay, probably I'm putting that on the bottom. I'm not grocery shopping. I'm not making choices that I know are going to give me quality energy. I'm not sleeping well. I'm on my phone till 10 o'clock at night and then trying to go to bed. So then we look at what behaviors could we start shifting? What changes could we start making, small changes that would start to align what we say our goals are and where our actual behaviors are happening? And that's different for everyone. I think it's what you have the bandwidth for, what you're most motivated to change. Because I say this to a lot of people. It's like, I could tell you the ideal formula for exercise, how many days you need to strength train, how many days you need cardio, how much, carb, fat, protein you need to eat. But you have to be ready also to tackle that.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, this is the formula, but then where are you and what are you ready to do consistently? Because if we can't do it consistently, the success and sustainability is minimal. So I think too, it's like, what can you stick with? That's right.
How do you hold them accountable? Because I'm someone who needs to be held accountable. And if I were to do this, for instance, I have a trainer and that holds me accountable to show up.
Yeah.
Right. And to do that, or I'll buy a pass, a block of passes at Barry's. Okay. I've paid for those. If I book it and don't show up, then
losing money. Yeah. Financial accountability.
yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you, because I did something like this on an app with somebody that I've never met, just on the calorie thing, right? Just how many I should eat. But I didn't know him. I never had talked to him like this. It was just app based and that went meow,
No, it's like, if you're like, turning in your homework and nobody's ever checking it, you're going to stop doing your homework.
So how do you hold your clients, accountable to where you can ensure?
I'm a nudge. I mean, I will just harass you till you do it. No, I mean, my business model is such that I never want to get so big that I can't work one-on-one with every single one of my clients. So I have very high touch, very customized programming. I answer every email myself. I'll get texts with menus every day. Hey, I'm going to lunch here. Hey, I'm going to happy hour here. Help me with the menu. And so, I mean, I have very open channels of communication. If my clients are local here in Nashville, they come see me in person and we do biweekly check-in. So every 2 weeks, we do body composition assessment. So we're looking at their muscle mass, their body fat levels, their metabolic rate. So I'm very much focused on body composition over scale weight when it comes to the nutrition. And then if they're not local, I find a resource near them where they can go do the body composition assessment. They send me the reports and then we do a Zoom call and go over everything and talk. So I have a lot of FaceTime with my clients. I look at their food logs daily and give them feedback and suggestions. So the accountability, I mean, I say that a lot. I don't sell nutrition information. I sell accountability because that's what people need. Like, most people know what to eat. They know when they're not making a great choice. They know when they're probably not controlling portions, but it's just about having somebody there to give them a soft place to land. And that's what I want to be for my clients. So
that's so awesome. Because often we just, we put all this money into a new program or new, whatever it is, weight loss foods or a program somewhere, but it's not, like you said, one-on-one accountability. It's just, you have all the stuff, you're supposed to read how to do it, and now you go.
And it's hard. I mean, nutrition is confusing. It's so much information out there now, so much controversial and conflicting suggestions. And, I don't have a one size fits all. I mean, every person that walks in my office is on a different path, on a different program. It's, depending on where they are in the menopause process. Have they had babies? Have they yo-yo dieted? Are they trying to build muscle? That's so fun for me because everyone's a challenge and it's not just a template like, hey, Nancy, you come in, you get the same program as Susie, as Joe, that just has never worked well for me. And the more mature I've gotten in my programming, I realize that, I have philosophies, of course. I have beliefs in what is and isn't the appropriate way to progress, but I have got to meet the person where they are sitting in my office because they have a different history. They have a different background,
Yeah, love that. It's not cookie cutter.
No.
Okay. Well, now I would love you to tell us about this book, which I think is so awesome, called Faith, Fuel, and Finding Their Superpowers. And it's for preteen girls who are really kind of going through, if we remember that age and stage, I think we all just would like to forget it or fast forward through it, right? I mean,
Well, yeah, I coached middle school sports for a long time in my early 20s when I was kind of still in school and just wanted some fun, things to get me out of the classroom. But 12 to 14-year-olds was kind of that sweet spot for me. And I always just loved it. And then as I've gotten more into my coaching career, I still have some clients in that younger demographic. Or, of course, a lot of my male adult clients have daughters in that age.
Right.
And so I hear a lot just about the body stuff happening. And then the shifts in, like, one day they're vegan and one day they're only eating chicken and one day they're right. Like, they're exploring, they're figuring it out. And now, of course, they're looking on social media for information. And, I've even had some young girls in their early teens with eating disorders already. And I just started to feel this pull to they need a resource. And the other feedback I was getting was like, mom and dad aren't always the best resource because number one, it's not fair for them to wear that hat. And number two, I think that girls at that age kind of stop listening to their parents.
Right. Your parents know nothing.
So I just wanted them to have a legitimate, very science oriented, but fun and approachable resource that wasn't like a textbook, puberty book. But it was like a real life. Like there's diary entries from girls that have written to me from all over the country, and they're telling their stories about things that they're going through. And then I give chapter challenges. So every chapter there's one on core values and nutrition and exercise and healthy friendships. And they have little challenges that they can do in each chapter. But it addresses, like you said, there's a section about faith. There's a section about fuel, which is nutrition, exercise, all the things that kind of feed our body and make us strong. Then there's a part about superpowers, which is God's gifts. Every chapter starts with a Bible verse and then kind of dives into the content. But it's just that we each have gifts that we are meant to share with the world. And so identifying your gifts and then being bold enough and vulnerable enough to share them and to just help you create good connections with other people.
Where was this book in the 80s? I feel like my whole generation went through with so little self-awareness compared to these, new generations of young women and men growing up. I feel like they're so much more equipped with knowledge that we didn't have. I mean, we really didn't even know about clinical depression, right? And now everybody talks about it, just like nobody used the word anxiety, right? I mean, that just wasn't a term.
That's thanks to what is the little character Inside Out 2. Have you seen this? Okay, Inside Out 2 is a little girl. She's like,
yes, I've seen that.
Anxiety like comes into her head at like 13.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen it. Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. None of us knew that. Right?
No, that's right.
So a lot of and I love this book because a lot of the women I've coached over the years in sales in my job, have struggled with this. But I feel like if you introduce something like your book at this stage in their lives, it really sets a good core value to go back to. It helps them know themselves better instead of going, what am I good at? What do I like? What do I, and to really, like you said, making him the foundation and everything else just a part of that, right? Would have been, where was this? This is awesome.
It's really great. Well, I mean, because even as an adult, it was during my recovery through my eating disorder where I found Psalm 139 of I was knit together in my mother's womb and I'm perfectly made, and just these girls should hear that now because that's where they're really seeing their body change and like recognizing differences. And you start to notice, well, maybe she's already got her woman body and I don't, and what's wrong, the comparison game. And I think just like coming back to that and saying, but he made me on purpose for a purpose. And this is exactly how I'm supposed to be. And it's cool that you're different than I am. The whole basis of this uniqueness is like, it's cool to be unique. We don't want to all be the same. You want to embrace your uniqueness and use it as a superpower. And so that's, hoping that the girls will start to look at that instead of trying to morph themselves into be this thing maybe they just weren't meant to be, but they find the thing that they were meant to be.
Right.
And they use that.
But do you find that in your work, because I know you work not solely with adolescents, but also adults, do you find that the younger clients that you have do want to be like everybody else, and then the older ones are trying to differentiate?
Yes, to the first part of that. I do find that the biggest angst for my young girls in the mindset piece, at least, is I like to wear this, but everyone's wearing that. And I feel like if I wear this, I don't fit in, but then I feel like I'm not myself because I'm wearing what they're wearing and it doesn't feel comfortable for me.
Right.
Right. Or that's just one example. But it's like they're trying to find that balance of like, I know this feels off. Like I'm not being authentic to who I am. But if I'm not authentic, I feel if I'm authentic to who I am, then I don't fit in with the group. So
Right.
which do I do?
Yeah. What do you tell them? That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. I tell them, first of all, I feel like that there's always a way to do both. I think you find your comfort that allows you to still kind of be appropriate in that group. Like example is I have a little figure skater that I work with, and she is a little alternative. She likes to wear dark colors and she likes the Doc Martens, and she does the figure skater friends. Most of them do the pinks and the purples and the brights and the glitters and the things, and the music they choose is this, and she wants kind of the like intense music, and she's very strong and she skates very fast. It's like a whole different energy.
Right.
And she was going to a dance and she was trying to figure out like, what dress do I wear? Because they're all going to wear these. And so she found this really cute glittery dress and she wore black Doc Martens with it.
She was able to still have
Just her little something that felt like her. And then she was like, so I think it depends on the situation. I mean, it isn't always that easy, but I think it's like finding how can you still be appropriate? It wouldn't have been appropriate for her to wear what she probably wanted to wear. Like she was appropriate for the event, but then found like something that just felt like her uniqueness.
And that's so cool. And because what I was wondering as adults, are we trying to do the opposite sometimes? Because I feel like the longer I live, I see the people that are doing something different or quirky. Everybody is like, oh my gosh. I mean, we really appreciate that, right? And I don't know if people are trying to do that or if they're finally okay with it doing their quirky thing because they don't care anymore.
I think we settle into who we are, of course, as we get older. And I think we're a little more comfortable just being authentic and vulnerable and just kind of doing our thing.
Right.
So I think that may be part of it. I think too is just your point on social media. It's like, I think everybody feels like they need to find their niche because there's just so much noise out there, and so it's like, oh, if I don't set myself apart, if I don't find, my little special thing, then nobody's going to notice me.
Right.
And I think that's just false assumption. I think most of the time people just want you to be real. I'm much more attracted to somebody I know is just being who they are and real than that they have some crazy uniqueness.
They want people to think of them. Yeah. And it's when you're genuine, people respond to that and they feel when you're not being right. I just never think anybody's ever fooling anybody if you're not being genuine, People
can tell. I mean, it's like for me in my industry, the majority of my competitors on Instagram do their videos with, no clothes on to speak of, right? Like they're showing off like as much skin as possible. And I'm like, I'm almost 45 years old and I could probably show it off and I feel fine about it, but that's just not who I am. So
I love that. Yeah.
It's like I might show a shot of me flexing or doing, but I'm not going to that's just not who I am. And so
song for that.
Right. And they would feel, and I think most of my followers would be like, Tiff, that's weird. Like, why are you doing that? Because I just don't ever do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to make sure everybody can find you. So you could tell everybody your socials. I don't see your socials on here. So I would love for you
to
know how to find you.
Sure.
This is really cool. And I think the book is fantastic. Do you know when it will be available for us?
So it should be in the next couple of months, at least for pre-sale, but I'll definitely keep you updated and then you can maybe update notes or send out to your folks. But the title is Your Unique Physique. And then the tagline is A Girl's Guide to Faith, Fuel, and Finding Your Superpowers.
Okay.
So I'll send all that out. Yeah, summer, that should be coming around. My website is a great place if you want to schedule a call. I always do a free call, which you can do on my website, which is workwithdrtiff, DRTIFF.com. And then my Instagram is at workwithdrtiff, DRTIFF. Yep. And I'm mostly on Instagram, but yeah, they can definitely find me elsewhere through my Instagrams.
I think it's awesome. I mean, I have so many friends that I think this would be a great book as a gift for
That would be great. Yeah, good idea.
daughters. I have 2 boys, but I think for my friends with daughters, it would be such a great gift. I mean, this is awesome. And I'm so grateful that you came today because I feel so passionate about us not living in that fear and not holding ourselves to this unattainable, perfect, image of whatever that is we have in our heads that we've got to be, because God doesn't want that. He knows that there's only one perfect person that's ever walked the face of the earth, and it's not any of us, but we do that as women, sabotage ourselves. So I love what you're doing, and you are such an overcomer. It's just inspiring. So guys, please check out Dr. Tiff. She's amazing. And I think it's just so cool what she's doing. So she gave you the socials. It's Work with Dr. Tiff at Work with Dr. Tiff. And it's 2 F's on Tiff for Instagram. And then her website is www.workwithdrtiff, right? Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
And she does a free call. So if you're not sure and you've got like a question mark, like, well, can she help me with this or that? She does a free call, which is awesome. So, you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So you got to give her a buzz. Okay. Thank you for we appreciate you. Okay, guys. See you next time. I appreciate y'all checking in. Thanks. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.